Hello and welcome back to Sports Talk with Dad. We have an amazing show lined up for you today, including, is Aaron Rodgers' attitude good for the Packers? Will anybody ever hit 200 wins again in baseball? And who is the greatest athlete of all time? I promise you the answer will not be him. And before we get started, as always, my name is Kyle, and I cannot call this Sports Talk with Dad without the man sitting next to me, a man who is falling apart before our very eyes, my dad, Tim.
Hey, everybody. Hope you're having a great week so far. Not falling apart, just needed to get a little reconstruction done.
What'd you have done?
So, long time ago, I had carpal tunnel. People have had that surgery, it's just quick and easy. And apparently, I had something similar where two tendons were being squeezed. And I know that the test that the doctor did to see if I had the condition, you remember the cartoons where the dog comes up behind the cat and the cat jumps up to the ceiling?
Yeah.
That was me when he squeezed my thumb. So
fair enough.
it was literally
very sophisticated test.
It was effective, though. It literally was a 5-minute, 10-minute procedure. It wasn't even a surgery procedure. Dr. Dan Whiskey was outstanding, quick, easy, and now I should be able to type. The problem was because of what I do for work.
Right.
I have to type, and it was just getting sore and sore and sore. So it had to be taken care of, but no, it has been.
What I love about the situation is your bandage was starting to fall off. And so rather than getting, a new bandage, you just did the most dad thing you can possibly do and duct taped it down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's as dad as it gets. Duct tape and super glue.
It's the one thing I had available, and I just went with it. I have to wear the bandage for literally another day. And I don't have any surgical tape, and I wasn't going to go and run and buy some to the bandage. So
duct tape is the greatest invention of all time.
But is flex tape better than duct tape?
No.
I don't know. Flex tape is really, really good.
That is really the new dad thing now is flex tape and flex seal
and flex everything. It works.
I can't argue as a dad and somebody who fixes a home on a regular basis. It's the most amazing thing in the world. My gutter was falling down. I just took some flex seal and then sprayed over the top with some of the glue. My gutter's fixed.
Your rock wall in the back of the house was falling apart. I went and picked up some cement, but the guy actually suggested, he said, mix some flex paste with it because then it'll be able to expand.
Hasn't moved.
It was perfect. So don't argue with it.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, it's waterproof, which is water resistant, however you want to call it. Either way.
I question whether you could take the flex glue in underwater and put it there and stick, because I've tried, remember when they first came out, they'd go and they'd stick a brick to the wall.
Yeah.
And then that doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. It's funny, though, because you take a dad's two favorite tools, which is duct tape and super glue, the two best tools in the world, and they just put them together.
Pretty much.
They're like, here you go. Fun fact, when was super glue invented and for what purpose?
I think it was invented for surgical closures, and I would have guessed in the 40s.
So it was accidentally made.
Like champagne,
like plastic, like most great things we have. It was accidentally made during the Civil War.
That far back.
It was created in, I believe, 1863. Could be 1864. You let me know if I'm wrong. But it was accidentally created, and they did use it for surgical procedures. It was hard to get stitches out in the field. Stitches were hard to do. Infection was already a problem. And they realized we can just put people back together with minor wounds with super glue.
It's still used to do that.
It is. I used it when I got bit by a snake.
I used it on you when you were a kid.
Yeah. It's the greatest thing ever. It's sterile.
Your mom wasn't happy with me when I used it on your...
Hey.
It closes it up. It's not going anywhere.
It's not. After having major abdominal surgery, The outer layer was closed with duct tape. Or with not duct
No,
tape,
it
with
wasn't.
super glue and medical tape.
I saw that scar, and it was not closed with duct tape, although it would have been great if it would have been.
It would have been, but it was basically, that's what it was. It was surgical tape with super glue underneath.
It worked.
And it worked. But anyways, I do want to talk about one thing, speaking of medical things, which is our sponsor, Let's Get Checked. First and foremost, thank you to Let's Get Checked for sponsoring this video. But in reality, it is hard getting older and realizing there could be a lot of things going on inside the body that we are not aware of.
And Let's Get Checked is a way for you to quickly, discreetly get your testosterone checked, your estrol levels checked, your FAI levels checked. And it's really something that every man, when he reaches a certain age, and that age is like over 30,
right,
get your levels checked because they drop off so dramatically. If you sit around and you're tired at night, maybe it's time for you to get your testosterone levels checked by contacting Let's Get Checked.
Now, listen, I am a person that has had to have my cortisol checked pretty much my entire life, at least since I was 12 years old, due to some disorders I have inside my body. And so it's very important to make sure my cortisol levels are not too low. Now, getting checked for those is a pain in the butt because I have to call the doctor. I have to make an appointment. I have to then go and get my blood drawn. I then have to wait for the doctor to call me back, which who knows when that's going to happen or if they're even going to remember to call me, because that has happened in the past. It takes so much time, so much energy, and really it's embarrassing to have to go and get your blood taken all the time. Let's Get Checked is an easy and discreet at-home way to get all of your levels checked. And the greatest thing is you get the package, you follow the instructions, you send it off, and within 2 to 3 days of them receiving your work, you will get a message back. And if your levels are off at all, a nurse will call you to go over the results with you. And you can see the results whenever you want, straight from the app. You can take them straight to your doctor or talk to one of their certified physicians that they have directly through the app. Again, Let's Get Checked. Now, this is the best part.
The best part is if you use the link below and use the code SportsTalk25, you're going to get a full 25% off on your first test kit. So don't go and spend a lot of money at the doctor. Click on Let's Get Checked down here, follow the link, and use the code SportsTalk25 to get your 25% discount and get your levels checked. Your family will appreciate it.
Again, the link is below with the promo code SportsTalk25. That is the only way to get 25% off. Don't wait. We are getting too old to wait to see what those results could be. Quick, easy, discreet. Again, link below, Sports Talk 25. And for old men like you that you like to use duct tape,
hey,
it's another easy way to do things.
We did our tests. We're going to get our results. We'll share them with the group and let you know how it was. But it was an easy test to do.
It was easy. A prick of a finger, put a cotton swab in your mouth.
Bada boom, bada bing.
Put it in a tube. The envelope's already there for you to send it back. Drop it off at UPS or call for a pickup, and off it goes.
UPS?
UPS.
No, it's only one U.
I was going to say USPS, but that wasn't correct. It's UPS. So I stuttered.
That's okay. I'm going to forgive you. Forgive you.
But.
So you were questioning about our new decoration.
Yeah. I've been questioning
A
lot of things lately since that chicken has shown up.
I think we'll call him Charlie.
Sure.
Or
You
Elmer.
have yet to explain to me what the chicken is for.
So growing up, you were a kid, you hated Halloween.
I still do.
Yeah, you're not a fan. Your brother loved Halloween.
Yeah.
I loved Halloween. We used to do a giant haunted house. We had 985 kids there one year.
Right.
We would have had more, but a couple of them, the smaller ones, ran away screaming. Parents weren't happy. But the Halloween stores are now open again.
Yeah.
And there's a new one in our area that opened up. It had a real freaking coffin. A real coffin in there.
Bet you people are dying to get in.
But the thing was it was tempting. It was the whole thing, including a creepy guy inside said coffin, was like $700.
No.
I was so close.
No.
So close. Because then you could have just buried me in it later on anyway.
That's all I would do if you spent that much money on a Halloween decoration.
Well, it's for your kids and for the house. And,
I want nothing to do with it.
we could dig a hole.
No, we can't. No, we cannot dig a hole in the yard.
It's been done before.
Yeah. Yep. And I now am 100% on my mother's side on why she was so mad at you about it.
It was so good.
It wasn't.
I wanted to have a real coffin in there because then it would have been even creepier. Okay, she wasn't real happy with me at that time.
So in case we haven't told the story on the show before, or if you're new to the show, so when I was younger, I come home from school, mom comes home from work, and there is a 6-foot hole in the side yard that you dug all on your own.
I did.
And we're like, hey, this is for Halloween. And we're like, okay.
And then I got a coffin.
And then you got a coffin. And then you dressed up and then put in dry ice. And then you, with severe asthma, decided you wanted to be in the coffin with the dry ice. And you lasted 10 minutes.
At most.
At most.
But it was an effect. We used to have witches flying around.
It was great.
And the worst thing was, the day after Halloween, it all had to be taken down, and there was a lot to take down.
There was.
Because then you had to set up for Christmas.
Right.
And we had, at the time when you were younger, in the town we lived in, they had 40-foot plus TV antennas.
Yeah.
In order to reach to Madison, Wisconsin.
Yep.
To get their TV. So your mom came up with a great idea of having the star, Bethlehem Star, up there and coming down towards the nativity in the front yard.
Very cool.
It was very cool. It was very scary.
Yeah, I bet.
So I go up there and attach a star and have the lights coming down towards.
Remember, this
the
is a
nativity
skinny
scene.
pole about my width with just 4 poles in the ground. That's all it is. It's just my width in the ground. And it's 40 feet up, which means when wind kicks in, it is going back and forth. And we watched you up there and saluted you like you were a flag, because I was pretty sure I was losing a father at that point.
Well, and the worst part was, in the days before zip ties, you would use bread ties or whatever you could find.
Right.
And I put the star up there with that and wasn't going up that high ever again. And then we're sitting in the living room watching TV one night.
Well, hold on. You're forgetting details. So this is 10 years later. That thing had been up there for 10 years.
That's
no
true.
issues. Hadn't fallen down. We just get the roof replaced. You and mom just paid however much to get the roof replaced at the house. And it's maybe a month after you get the roof replaced because it was leaking.
If that.
And all of a sudden, I look up in the living room and I said, didn't we just get the roof fixed? You're like, yeah, why? I said, because there's a giant leak in the ceiling. And you said lots of fun words and cursing out the people who put on the roof, cursing out anybody you could think of. And you go up there and you go, you have got to be effing kidding me right now.
That stupid star falls off the TV antenna, does a swan, had to have done a swan dive. It couldn't land flat. It landed with the point straight through the roof.
The bottom of the star goes through the roof and had to get it replaced.
The funniest part was I called the guy who fixed the roof. He came over, was laughing so hard, he didn't even charge us for the repair. He said, this story's going to last forever. So,
because the question was how? Like how? Because it was 30 feet from the roof.
It was
up there. And just wind in general should have tipped that star over, and so it smashed into a million pieces on the side of the roof.
I would have been good with that.
Right. But instead, it couldn't have turned anyway.
It had to have just done a one loop and
if
then
that, or just straight down and darted into the roof. It was amazing.
No,
I laughed so hard.
I started to laugh after a while. You're right. I was furious.
Your reaction made it more funny because you were seriously angry at some act of God.
What? Okay, what kind of warped beyond belief karma did I ever do in my lifetime to cause that thing to come down? And Grant, don't say it because I'm sure there's a lot of karma I did that caused it to come down.
Yeah, you obviously had good karma because the guy came and fixed it for free.
He did.
You just have to find the funny. You have to find the funny.
I can laugh about it now. I mean, it's hysterical
I was laughing
looking
about
back.
it then.
I wasn't. I had just paid a fortune to get a brand new roof put on, and your mom the next Christmas season wanted to redo the wreath that we had up on the roof and use staples to put the wreath. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, that was dumb.
Learn from Star. So,
it falls straight down. But hey, speaking of baseball, we have a lot of things.
I don't think we were talking about baseball. We were talking about Halloween that we love. And then
I don't love Halloween. I hate Halloween.
Well, you don't like clowns.
I don't like clowns. And I don't like Halloween because of you and Mom.
What do we have to do with it?
Tortured me with clowns.
No.
Tortured
me
with clowns.
No.
To the point where CPS should have been called. And I should have been taken away to a safer place.
We went over to Circus World Museum. It was close to us. They did a great haunted house.
Sure they did.
They showed old Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Sure, it was great.
Not many clowns.
There were some.
You
were trying to convince me that there were no clowns. And I said, bullshit.
There were a couple clowns.
It is Circus World. There are clowns.
There were a couple clowns.
I mean, I had been kicked out of Circus World anyways. I don't think they would have let me back in.
No,
that's a story for another day.
Right. Anyways, back to sports.
Back to sports. It was a terrible transition, but I tried. But anyways, I do want to talk about baseball here because a lot is going on. Albert Pujols hits 698 and is 2 away from getting to 700. You have Aaron Judge, who hit 2 in a game, so now at 59 home runs. He's 3 away from breaking the record, 2 away from tying the record. But one thing that I want to talk about is another amazing moment that happened last night, which is Max Scherzer wins his 200th game.
Which is amazing because in modern baseball, it used to be 300 was the golden ticket to the Hall of Fame. We're never going to see another 300-game winner. I just don't see it.
No, it's not going to happen. And my question is to you, will we ever see a 200-game winner again?
I think so. I think we'll see somebody get to 200.
Well, let me run some of this off for you because I did look up the stats after this. So the leader right now in wins from active players is Justin Verlander. He has 243. He'll probably end at 250 something, and then Zach Greinke at 223, Scherzer at 200. Now I do think we will have 2 more 200-game winners. Adam Wainwright is at 195.
Remind me, I've got a Wainwright story.
Yep, I want to talk about that too. But Adam Wainwright is at 195. So I'm assuming he'll get there. Clayton Kershaw's at 194. He will definitely get to 200 wins. But the next closest is David Price at 157.
He retires at the end of the year, so he's done.
Right. So David Price isn't going to get there. Johnny Cueto, who is 36 years old, 142. Madison Bumgarner, who's 32 years old, he's at 133. He's not going to get there. Garrett Cole, 129. Lance Lynn, 122. I mean, even Steven Strasburg, 113.
The golden age, and a lot of this I blame on managers and on Billy Ball. Because starters are allowed to go 4, maybe 5 innings, and they're pulled. And so a lot of wins that they normally get go to the relievers.
I mean, there's nobody on this list that's younger than 29 years old.
That's sad.
And that I'm going down to the top 50, which is 64 wins in the top 50 right now of active players. 64 wins. And none of those players are younger than 29 years old.
It's because you don't have pitchers in the major leagues anymore. You have throwers.
Right. I mean, back in the day, 60 wins was a pretty bad career.
Yes,
because you were getting to 60 wins in your first 5 seasons.
You were asked to, when you got started a game, your expectation was that you were going to finish that game.
Right.
As a matter of fact, it was a point of pride to finish a game, and you hated being taken out. You would fight about it. Now, they take people out who are in the middle of a no-hitter, which I know we brought up before. Craig Counsell needs to go to manager purgatory for what he did to Corbin Burns when you take him out in the bottom of the 8th and don't let him get his no-hitter.
Yeah, this is really sad to see. I honestly 100% question if anybody will ever get to 200 wins again after Kershaw. Kershaw and Wainwright will get there because they're so close. David Price is going to do it. Johnny Cueto. Madison Bumgarner is slowing down. He's only at 133. Madison Bumgarner, one of the greatest pitchers of a generation, only has 133 wins.
It's all about the fact that you throw as hard as you can for a shorter period of time.
Madison Bumgarner's a pitcher.
He's a pitcher. Strasburg is a pitcher, so I'm surprised he's only at 113. I'm really surprised that he's that low. But the other thing...
they're getting pulled out in tie games.
The other thing you don't see anymore is 20-win seasons.
No.
I mean, a 15-game win season is huge.
Right.
So
you're seeing Cy Young Award winners with 15 wins.
Yeah, and that's depressing. I mean, when I was growing up, you would get 2 or 3 20-game winners every year. And Denny McLain, I think, was the last player in 1968 to get the 30 wins.
I mean, when I was growing up, if you didn't have 20 wins as a starter, you weren't even in the Cy Young conversation.
No, not even close.
I mean, if you had a pitcher looking at a Cy Young with less than 20 wins, you were either King Felix over in Seattle, and that's just because he was on such a bad team.
Or Raleigh Fingers, who was such a good reliever. He won MVP.
Talking my generation.
I know, but I like those guys.
My childhood. Your 80s.
Go ahead.
Anyways, but no, you would see somebody if they didn't have 20 wins. It was, you weren't being talked about, or it was a bad season for pitchers, and it was time to make a change. Now, I mean, you're pulling guys after inning 2, and you're not going to have a lead you're going to keep after 2 innings.
Baseball's going to have to make some serious changes, and I don't know if it's because of the money. I'm sure it has something to do with it, but pitchers just don't have I don't know if it's the intestinal fortitude to look at their managers and go, I'm pitching 8 innings. Don't come and get me.
Well, and pitchers used to be the stars of the game.
Correct.
That's just what it was. Your Randy Johnsons, your Pedro Martinez, your, in my opinion, Kerry Wood. You had your
Roger Clemens before the juice.
Roger Clemens, even with the juice.
For the juice.
He's never proven guilty. You had, who else? I'm blanking right now.
Wow.
But you have Ben Sheets for the Brewers, who was great for a bunch of years, going 200 innings like 4 years in a row. You had King Felix, who was amazing to watch, but that was must-see TV. Must-see TV. And the crazy thing is, you tuned in for the pitcher. Like, if you got to see a hitter, that's great, but you stopped to watch the game because you wanted to see a pitcher go 7, 8 innings and see what they could do. Hits were just a benefit. And I think that's, again, where baseball misinterprets what people want to see, because you have a whole field of guys that can hit on any given day.
A
whole field of guys that can hit. You have 1 or 2 guys, if you're lucky, on a roster that can consistently go 9 innings and win over 20 games.
Look, baseball has turned their sport in a lot of ways into softball. And it's about the home runs, which, granted, is exciting, but I'm just as excited if I'm watching a 0-0 or a 1-0 pitching duel.
You know what's exciting? Aaron Judge going for 62.
Sure.
That's what makes home runs exciting.
Sure. He's
seeing a home run in a game, while it's fun, it's not the best part of the game. You don't go home saying, unless it's Aaron Judge, I watch Aaron Judge hit a home run. Well, that's a different story, right? But you don't go to the game saying, I watched the catcher hit a home run. You know, that's not the story you tell. If somebody hits a home run, somebody makes a great catch, or the pitcher has a no-hitter or a one-hitter, I mean, what's the story you're going home and telling?
Well, and
growing up, for me, I'm telling the story of the no-hitter over any of them, and then I'm telling the story of the great catch, and then maybe I'm telling the story of the home run.
And you grew up in an era, and it's long since gone. I got to see Ricky Henderson, where stolen bases were a huge part of the game.
Baseball's trying to bring that back.
I don't believe it when I see it.
I mean, with the pickoff moves in place now.
You mean that stupid rule that'll last maybe 2 years before they have to change it again?
I hope it doesn't make it to
I
the
hope
major
not.
leagues ever.
I hope not. Baseball's got to go back to playing baseball the way it was. You have pitchers, not throwers. You have stolen bases. You have some teams who rely on the long ball. Other teams play small ball and they win. And it's that kind of strategy you like to see. Now, and part of it is also the construction of the ballparks, where they make them bandboxes to encourage the home run. And granted, Aaron Judge is going to set the all-time single-season record for home runs. He's going to break the 61.
74 home runs this year.
That's not the record. 61's the record. We've had this conversation.
73 is the record.
We don't count records attained by cheating. 61 is still the single-season home run record, which Aaron Judge is going to break. And I hope he continues the stretch. I hope next year he does hit 74 just to break the cheater's record so we don't have to talk about it anymore. I don't think he's ever going to get there. I think if you're not juicing, you just can't get 62 is an unbelievable achievement.
It's exciting.
It is.
It is very exciting. I'm hoping Judge gets it. I hope he continues to hit the way that he is now. But it's a different era of baseball, and it's unfortunate that baseball completely misunderstood what made the sport exciting.
They misunderstood their history. I mean, Adam Wainwright.
Not even the history. It's misunderstanding what makes the game exciting, and what makes the game exciting is the pitching. And there may be people out there that disagree with me, but look how long the games are taking now. How often are you tuning in? Are you tuning in to watch somebody hit? Or are you going to tune in? Do you remember as a kid tuning in to watch the greatest pitchers duel against each other and see how long they could go? What kept you tuned in? To wait to see Aaron Judge at bat, or to watch Randy Johnson
kill a bird,
or go 9 innings and see if he could get a perfect game? What did you tune in for? And I guarantee if you're honest with yourself, you were more interested in tuning in to watch a pitching duel than you ever were to see any player going out and hit a home run.
Well, and we had another record set, Adam Wainwright and Javier Molina, and I'm shocked that this is the all-time record.
325.
They set the record for a battery mates at 325 starts.
Battery does not mean they beat people up.
No.
It means
pitcher and catcher.
I'm having shocked games together.
I'm shocked. That's the record, considering players didn't used to move like they do nowadays.
Yeah.
And, you look at the old Yankee teams when Whitey Ford was on that team and he had Yogi Berra, and Yogi was catcher forever and a day. I would have thought they would have got to it. Johnny Bench, Reds never had a lot of great pitchers. They had good ones for a while, but I'm just surprised that's the record.
That's a lot of games.
It's a lot of games. And by the way, Christian Yelich, hats off to you. That was a classy thing you did.
Very classy.
He was a leadoff hitter for Milwaukee. He goes out there right before the first pitch. He takes the first pitch so that that Molina and Wainwright can set the record, keep the ball, and then you move on with the game.
And it was more so to keep the ball, right? They were going to set the record with that first pitch, no matter if it was taken deep into the stands. But yes, very classy and sportsman move in the middle of a playoff race to make sure they got to keep that ball. Molina did look at Yelich and said, thank you. And it's great sportsmanship. With where that pitch was, Yelich should have taken that 3 stands deep in
maybe, but I mean, it was
in Busch Stadium, but
it was the right thing to do. And you just don't see, number one, you don't see sportsmanship like that all the time anymore.
No,
but it was.
I don't think that's true. You see sportsmanship a lot still.
I hate the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Always have.
Right.
But I love Molina.
Yes, Molina is one of my all-time favorite players.
Greatest catcher of his generation.
It's funny because as much of a Cubs fan as I am, and as much as I really don't like the Cardinals, 2 of my favorite players growing up were Cardinals players, and Albert Pujols and Yadier Molina.
And Pujols, I am pulling for to get to 700, and I hope they start breaking into games so we can actually hopefully see that.
They'll do that for Judge. They'll do it for Pujols as well coming up, which is awesome. He needs to get to 699 first. It's just good for the game. People are paying attention late in the season again in the regular season. For the right reasons.
There's another story considering one of the players in baseball, maybe the greatest athlete in the history of sports, is playing today. And that, of course, is Ohtani.
Yes. Ohtani is amazing.
Watch the video on
greatest athlete of all time.
Watch the video on him. What he's done. I mean, he loves baseball to the point that he didn't even get a driver's license because why bother? All I'm going to be doing is going to the park and coming home. But it was interesting to see the injuries he suffered. First of all, when he was playing in Japan, he walked away from $200 million. If he would have stayed for an extra 2 seasons in Japan, he makes $200 million and he can come to the U.S. He said, forget it. I'm going to the U.S. now.
Right.
And then they tried to get him to focus on hitting and they tried to focus on pitching. He was getting hurt.
Yep.
When they cut him loose in 2020, the short season they had, and they let him pitch and hit in the same day he pitched, he's been no injuries to speak of, and he's been lighting it up. And to do 2 disciplines like pitching a ball and hitting a ball, I've never seen anything like it in my lifetime. Babe Ruth stopped pitching before he went and started hitting the way he did.
Well, and he pitched during the dead ball era, so it doesn't really count.
He would have pitched in the live ball. He would have been a Hall of Fame pitcher, and he was a Hall of Fame hitter. Ohtani has a chance to do something that I'm putting it right up there with the Bo Jacksons of the world who played football and baseball at the same time.
He's playing the same sport. I mean, he's the greatest baseball player of all time in a lot of ways, especially if he continues. But to say he's the greatest athlete of all time,
you can't.
He doesn't play any other sports.
You can't pitch and hit the way he does. He's in the conversation for greatest athlete ever because it's just
he could be in the conversation, but you have other players out there. Are you telling me he's a better athlete than Michael Phelps or Bo Jackson? How can you say he's a better athlete than Michael Phelps?
Here's my list of the greatest athletes. I'm going to go back with one athlete, but in my lifetime, you've got Eric Heiden, who won 5 gold medals in speed skating. Michael Phelps. Mark Spitz was another one who won a ton before Phelps came along. Bo Jackson certainly is on that list.
Deion Sanders.
Deion Sanders at the same time frame, played 2 sports. And to go back in time, I think the single greatest athlete perhaps ever was Jim Thorpe. He was a superstar track person. He played professional baseball. He played professional football.
Jim Thorpe is the greatest athlete of the 20th century. It's not even close.
He's in the conversation. I think you're probably right. I mean,
he's a forgotten person.
He is. He grew up on an Indian reservation and didn't have a lot of schooling. Can't answer the question.
He was like 100% Native American.
Oh, absolutely.
I know that.
And had to fight through racism that Native Americans had to go through at that time.
Let's be honest, that's about as American as you get.
It is. He was a 100% American, and Americans should have celebrated him, and they did to a certain extent, but he lost his gold medal, which he's now gotten back.
Yes, just a couple years ago.
Not long ago. Because they found out that he played minor league baseball.
Right.
Or professional baseball on some level.
Right. He got paid to play.
Yeah, and
it's still the rules today.
Oh, no, it's not. Olympic athletes are getting paid. You've got professional basketball players in there all the time, professional hockey players.
Yeah, it's happening. It doesn't change the fact that the Olympic rules still state you have to have amateur status.
Really? Michael Jordan had amateur status?
I'm not saying that it's
I don't think it's a rule anymore. But back to that, Jim Thorpe, far and away, he played at a small little Native American college, but he's got my vote for the greatest athlete. I think Bo Jackson was right there, maybe 1 and 1A. If Bo doesn't get hurt, what would he have done? Could he have been in a Hall of Fame for 2 sports? Possibly.
He was on that track and still possibly could. I mean, if Kurt Warner's in the NFL Hall of Fame,
Oh my
Bo
God.
Jackson certainly should be in the NFL Hall
Any
of Fame.
excuse to throw out the Kurt Warner argument.
Think we'll ever get him on the show?
Probably not
No,
now.
probably not.
Probably not.
Hall of Fame analyst, just not a Hall of Fame football player.
But I'm putting Ohtani in that same list because if you can do...
He is not the greatest athlete of all time. He's not even arguably top 10.
I think he's right up there. If you can be a pitcher of his level, not granted he's got to do it for a long time, but if you can be a hitter and a pitcher at the levels he's doing it, he should win the MVP every single year.
Definitely win the MVP, and I think he'll win again this year over Aaron Judge.
I think Judge will win. If he breaks the record.
If he breaks the record, but there's
Judge
still
wins.
Conversation in there of Ohtani getting the MVP again.
If there's an excuse for co-MVPs, this is the season.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, they made it happen in football with Favre and Barry Sanders. They're like, listen, we can't pick.
Right.
It's both of you. But greatest athlete of all time, I can't even entertain that. Now when you have players like athletes out there, like Michael Phelps, like Jim Thorpe, you have Bo Jackson, you have Deion Sanders, you have, I'm trying to think who else out. The problem is it's hard to see athletes like that anymore because at a young age they're forced to pick one sport already, and that's really sad. But LeBron James is a better athlete. I mean, we're not talking baseball player. We're talking all around athlete. LeBron James, one of the greatest athletes of all time.
And I think Ohtani is even better. It just, you have no concept of how hard it is to pitch a baseball at the way he does and have the eye. I mean, it happens in little leagues and the lower leagues all the time.
Sure.
Your best pitcher is also your best hitter, but then it gets separated and they lose the ability to hit a baseball.
And I get what you're saying. I do. But to sit here and say greatest athlete of all time, I mean, could that guy go and run track? No.
I don't think he has to. To do what he's doing in the sport that he's doing it in, it would be like...
This isn't a conversation about greatest baseball player. This is a conversation about greatest athlete of all time.
It'd be like your starting quarterback was also your Hall of Fame linebacker. Doing the same thing at the same time and having those two skills is just...
Right. Who's the guy from the Eagles?
Bronco, was it? Not Bronco.
Guy with no teeth. That was the scariest looking guy on the face of the earth.
Yeah, this guy who pretty much ended Frank Gifford's Bednarik.
Yeah, Chuck Bednarik.
He was the last of the two ways, but normally the guys...
But he's still not the greatest athlete of all time.
No, but those guys played the line on both sides of the ball, which essentially is
he's
just...
a linebacker and offensive lineman.
Yes. So you're going to be blocking straight ahead and you're a linebacker and you react to the ball. You're the quarterback and the middle linebacker that has to react to the ball. You're not playing both sides at that level. Put in the comments if you think I'm right, which I know you do, that Ohtani is perhaps the greatest athlete to have ever
played. And
played.
while you're down there, don't forget to do this right here for me, which is like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified every time we drop a new video. And you get to enjoy this show as much as we enjoy making it.
So
I just don't even know how in the world you could consider... I think you're misunderstanding what the word athlete means.
No, I'm not. I understand it fully. I mean, I was on the list for a while, but...
No, you weren't.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't even close.
I mean, again, you have Michael Phelps, who is a better athlete.
I can't... He would swim in different events. I mean, that's...
Right.
I think pitching and hitting the way he does, being a power hitter and a pitcher, is just, to me, on a different level. And maybe you're right. Maybe it's because of my love of the game and how much love I have for baseball that just the concept of anybody doing these two things.
It's amazing.
Never entered into my mind that I'd ever see it happen.
It's amazing. Don't get me wrong. He's doing something that we'll never see again. I mean, this isn't going to happen again. But again, we're talking athlete.
And
run, jump.
And he does it all.
Kick, throw.
So I'm going to
jump.
Okay. We'll get to you wins the argument in the comments, but I'm going to switch gears on you.
Okay.
So the Packers beat the Bears.
Yeah, they did.
Packer fans, and I'm one of you, but my God, you went from thinking they're never going to win a game to now that, well, They've got it right. Alan Lazard is going to be the next Davante Adams. The Packers are going to lose several games this year. They are still lacking at the wide receiver. They have to play Tom Brady next week.
I mean, that's your test. But Tom Brady's not going to have anybody either. They just signed Cole Beasley because they got nobody.
I know.
Godwin's out. Mike Evans has been suspended.
And rightly so. That was just dumb.
Yeah, he's protecting his quarterback.
It was just dumb. But I can be a homer without being an idiot.
It depends what happens next week. It really depends what happens next week.
I don't think it matters what happens. I don't think it matters. I mean, they may lose a game. That doesn't mean they're not going to make the playoffs. They look good against the Bears, which isn't saying much. But you were all in with the Bears. They looked great on their first game.
I wasn't all in with the Bears. I was against the 49ers. I made that very, very clear.
Here's my question. If you're a 49er fan,
I'm ecstatic.
Are you happy?
I'm ecstatic.
They got what the front office was let off a huge hook.
Yeah.
Because Lance is done for the season. They can put in Garoppolo and they can go on a Super Bowl run.
And his teammates were not shy about showing how excited they were to see Garoppolo back on the field.
It was funny. They were trying to put on a good face for Trey Lance, and yeah, he's our quarterback. We're going to give him the support. And then Jimmy G gets put in. He's back. He's back.
We are very excited right now that Garoppolo is back in the game. I tell you, and this brings me into something else I want to talk about with you, but that takes my opinion of the Niners into a whole different direction because I really thought the Niners were going to miss the playoffs this year. I thought they were going to lose their first 5 games.
Boy, talk about biting off your nose to spite your face.
Now, these guys are Super Bowl contenders.
They're right there.
I'm all in.
Look, they got to the NFC Championship last year. Jimmy Garoppolo, I had somebody tell me that, well, he's a serviceable quarterback. He's more than a serviceable quarterback. He is a
Joe Flacco's a serviceable quarterback.
Trent Dilfer was a serviceable quarterback.
Jimmy Garoppolo has not missed the playoffs in a very long time and has won a lot of games.
And he makes throws that are just off the charts.
Yeah, he's going to throw a stupid pick now and then, but you're talking to somebody who watched Brett Favre growing up. I mean, I've seen stupid picks. It happens.
It happened a lot with Brett.
It did.
Loved him.
Trying to make a play, and that's what Jimmy G's doing. He's just trying to make a play. But I'm telling you, if I'm a 49ers fan, I am the happiest fan in the world right now that I just got my quarterback.
Oh, God. I checked out some of the 49ers. Whoops, sorry. Checked out some of the 49ers blogs, fan blogs. Yeah, they're happy.
They're very happy. But that does bring me to another question here for you. You and I have had a lot of opinions when it comes to NFL teams in the first little bit here, especially before the season. What teams do you think are legitimate Super Bowl contenders now, and which ones have been pretenders? Which ones do you think we overrated completely?
AFC West, I think the Chargers.
Overrated or underrated?
Well, hang on. The Chargers, the Chiefs, and the Broncos, I think, are legit.
The Broncos are 0-2. Well, they're 1-1, but they should be 0-2.
I know, but I still think they're going to put together. They're too good a team not to put it together. I think it may take longer than they thought to gel. I don't know if the Raiders are legit. They didn't look good.
No.
On the NFC, I don't think Pittsburgh is legit. I don't think New England's legit.
Okay.
On the NFC side, is there anybody that's legit? The Rams? The 49ers now? I don't see Green Bay going really deep unless they really put it together in ways I haven't seen so far. They're going to go as far as Aaron Jones can carry him. Literally. Running back. He looked amazing the other night. I think Philadelphia, if they play like they did last night on Monday night, they're legit. I think Dallas with who's their quarterback now?
Cooper Rush. He had a good first quarter.
He did. This is McCarthy's last year. But here's my question to you. If you're Jerry Jones and you know you want to bring in Sean Payton, is Prescott or is Cooper Rush going to be your quarterback next year, or do you give it up and just try to draft somebody?
Let me get into teams that I think here is because Dallas, I think, has been overrated, and I honestly think Dak Prescott has been overrated.
Oh, and one other I forgot that's legit is Detroit.
Okay. They beat the Commanders. Come on now.
Yes, they did. It's the start. It's the start of them
They'll
going
win
on
7 or 8
playoff run
games this year. Anyways, I think Dak Prescott's overrated. I think he's very overrated. You know, I have a friend who's a diehard Cowboy fan, and he's been telling me for years Dak is overrated. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I can't really argue with that anymore. He hasn't taken those next steps. He's fallen back in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And if they start winning with Cooper Rush at quarterback, I think Dak Prescott could be out of there. Those are 2 big contracts, I think, that they're regretting making, which is Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott. Because Elliott has been on a downhill slope for a while. Now, for AFC, first and foremost, the Buffalo Bills may be the best team I've ever
They're
seen.
legit. I'm sorry for getting those.
They may be the best team I've ever seen play a football game, at least in those first 2 games. They are unstoppable.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I do want to take credit again for saying Josh Allen was going to be the best quarterback out of that draft.
Look, AFC is where all the power is this year. All the power. Anybody, you take any of the teams I picked or Buffalo, they'll beat anybody in the NFC right
From what
now.
we're seeing, the Broncos, Nathaniel Hackett is not a very good coach right now.
Not right now.
That guy can't make decisions.
Give him
He
time.
needs to figure that out.
He'll figure it out.
Because right now, the Broncos are exactly what Brian told you they were.
Give him time.
I mean, they're 1-1 out of sheer luck of playing a bad team that couldn't take advantage of
Wilson
mistakes.
will prevail. Have faith in the Badger.
I don't. They're looking bad. And I agree with you with the Raiders. I mean, you can't let Carr go much longer if this is how they're going to look. You spend way too much money in the offseason making sure that offense is ready to click, and Carr is not hitting the mark.
Devontae Adams was open, and the passes weren't on target.
I think Adams is regretting
Give him time. Let's
not
see.
staying in Green Bay right now.
Give him time. I mean,
Other AFC teams, Jaguars, showed a lot. I think they need to get Travis Etienne more involved, but they are showing strides that they should be showing, and they're being very impressive right now. I think that's still going to be a surprise team that's going to come out. It's a team I called, and a team I still think is going to be a legitimate contender.
They've got a long way to go and a short time to get
But
there.
in the AFC South,
there's nothing
they
there.
don't.
How bad did Indianapolis look?
That was my other one. Indianapolis is awful.
They're just bad.
And they shouldn't be.
Bad coach. I was shocked that Matt Ryan is as bad as he's been.
I don't know what's happening, but they are awful. NFC, I apologize to Eagle fans. Jalen Hurts looks like the real deal.
He looks like the real.
I have been saying forever that he is overrated. He has looked like the real deal in Philadelphia.
And I'll take credit for calling it. I said Minnesota's big game was against the Packers. They won, and they'd fall flat against Philadelphia, and they they did a face plant.
I tell you, that's another team in the NFC I have to look at and say, I overhyped them. I really thought they were going to be contenders, and man, Kirk Cousins looked like Kirk Cousins last week.
He did.
He did not look good. I don't know why he's not looking at Adam Thielen to throw the ball.
You've got Jefferson and Thielen there. You should have one of them open at all times.
All times. And plus you have Cooks coming out of the backfield who will also be open. You'll have one of those 3, and you're not even looking Thielen's way. They are not looking good right now.
No.
The Packers are exactly what we thought they'd be.
Up and down.
Up and down. That's exactly what they're going to be. They need to get Aaron Jones more involved. They finally did last week, and that guy touches the ball. I mean, he for a career he averages 4.5 yards per carry and 7.6 yards per catch. Get him the ball.
He's up there with Jonathan Taylor's as the best running back in football.
Yeah, you paid him for a reason.
And Dylan is going to be better as the year goes on because the colder it gets, the better he gets.
Correct. As everybody else gets sore, that's when he steps in. Save his legs for that.
I will say, in credit to Aaron Rodgers or any Hall of Fame quarterback, it could be Tom Brady. It could be Brett Favre. It could be Troy Aikman. They make the guys around them look better, and he made Alan Lazar look all really good on Sunday
He did.
night.
He needs to continue doing it. The Cardinals are as bad as I thought they were.
That was embarrassing.
What do you expect? What do you expect? Kyler Murray is not the answer. DeAndre Hopkins is gone, which he just threw the ball up to DeAndre Hopkins all the time. I mean, they are not the team that everybody thought they were going to be, and I knew that.
So, what are your top 3 teams in the NFC?
Top 3 teams in the NFC right now are the Green Bay Packers, number 1. Kidding. I'm kidding.
I know.
Joking.
Homer.
The top 3 teams, I have to say the Philadelphia Eagles right now have to be considered a top 3 team in the NFL. I think now with Jimmy Garoppolo back, the San Francisco 49ers are a top 3 team in the NFC. My third team.
Rams?
No, I don't think Rams right now. I'm trying to go through.
It's not Tampa Bay. Brady is looking human.
He's looking human.
By the way, did you hear he is getting Tuesdays and Wednesdays off every week now?
Yeah, I heard that.
Giselle must have just had plans to go back to work, and then she's looking at Tom going, "You promised me that you were done. You're watching the kids Tuesdays and Wednesdays." And Tom went to Tampa Bay. "I've got to watch the kids on Tuesdays and Wednesdays."
Something happened.
I'm going
to be honest with you. I don't know if there is a third team that I can honestly say in the NFC right now. I think the Eagles are legit. I think the Niners are legit. I don't know if there's another team I can say that's number 3. I guess I'd have to say the Rams if I had to pick another 3. Tampa, they're 2-0, but
they need to get healthy.
I mean, the Giants are also 2-0.
That's
the Packers. I mean, you could put in there by default, but I don't think that they're necessarily a top 3 team right now. I guess the Rams.
NFC Championship could easily at this point be San Francisco, Philadelphia. Could be San Francisco, Rams. It could be Green Bay again if they pull it all together.
It could be. I mean, the joy for Green Bay is they're going to get better as the season goes on. But yeah, I don't know. I really think the San Francisco 49ers have to be really considered a Super Bowl favorite at this time with the Philadelphia Eagles.
They certainly look good against Seattle, who I told you not to take in the game, but you insisted and you took Seattle.
Right. I also didn't think Trey Lance was going to get hurt.
I'm sorry. Seattle didn't look good. Even with Lance in there, they didn't look good. Somebody would have lost by default had Lance not got hurt, but
I tell you which team is a surprise team this year and which could make a secret run is the Miami Dolphins.
They are looking good.
Tua's looking like you would hope Tua would look.
Problem is he's in the AFC.
But who's there right now?
Who's there? Buffalo.
I mean, in the division. You have Buffalo in the division who's going to run away with it. They may go undefeated.
They could. I mean, I think Miami will be a wild. They could be a wild card.
They're going to be a wild card team. The Broncos aren't going to be very good this year if they continue with the way that they are.
They've got to turn it around.
The Raiders aren't looking great right now. The AFC South is a mess. I mean, the Jaguars are going to come out of that division.
Probably only because there's nobody else in the division.
The NFC North, or the AFC North, I'm sorry. The Bengals aren't looking great right now. They're 0-2.
Pittsburgh is going to have
Baltimore look good.
Kenny Pickett is going to be playing
pretty quick. But
Trubisky has not looked stellar.
Or they just call it a season.
Well, you're not going to call it a season. You're going to get Pickett in there. He looked amazing in the preseason. Granted, it was the preseason. But he's ready to go, and the fans are going to be calling. They're already calling for him to get in there.
Right.
Because he's that kind of a dynamic quarterback that he can make plays happen in ways that Trubisky just can't.
You're not wrong.
I rarely am.
That's not true.
I may not always be right, but I'm never wrong. To use an old Pat Harrington line from an old TV show I used to watch.
I like it.
It was a great line. I may not always be right, but I'm never wrong.
It's perfect. I'm going to use that in marriage from now on and see where it gets me.
Yeah, not far. By the way, you obviously had You broke down and had an energy drink, didn't you?
I did. I had to.
You had a much better attitude.
Yeah, I did. I couldn't do it, dude. I was dying. Like, I have to wean myself off of these things.
He called me, and I swear I was talking to a corpse on Monday afternoon.
I was about to puke. I had such a bad headache. I was about to puke.
People think it's funny when they say, just quit Diet Coke. Yeah, just quit breathing.
Right.
See how long ago?
Yeah, I was falling asleep in the middle of the day. I mean, it's my own fault from going to 1,200 milligrams of caffeine down to,
0.
300. Because it's, 3 cups of coffee.
Right.
I mean, my body was just not reacting well. I had to go and get one just to be able to function for a while. And we'll go that route. I've changed it. It won't be cold turkey, which is fine. If I can have 2 in a week and then go down from there, that's huge. That's still a big difference.
Quitting cold turkey is dangerous, actually. Your body just can't take that kind of a shock to the system. Sometimes you have to do it.
Listen, I used to smoke a pack a day of cigarettes for 5 years. I smoked a pack a day. I had to do that one cold turkey. I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Because the problem with smoking, and for anybody that knows anybody that's trying to quit smoking, you have to quit cold turkey because they don't. Back in your day, they sold, what were they called? Lucky Strikes, where you could buy 1 cigarette.
I don't remember ever seeing that.
It was a thing. Maybe it wasn't when you were a kid even, but there was a time period where they sold just 1 cigarette.
I've never been a smoker, so I don't know.
And that was easier to wean off of, right? Because then you just go buy 1, you only have 1, and that's it. But if you're really craving and you're going to break down, now you have to buy a pack. And you're not going to just let a pack sit there. You're going to smoke the pack and finish it out. And it's just not that easy when they're there. So I had to quit cold turkey because I tried. And listen, it just wasn't going to happen. But I did. I made it. I have my son to thank for that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't going to smoke around him because it's not good. I shouldn't have been doing it anyways, but whatever. So that's the only thing I quit cold turkey. Everything else has been, I can't quit this cold turkey. It was too much of a shock to my system.
Yeah, you were. I talked to you on the phone, and you sounded like a zombie.
I felt like a zombie. Honestly, I had a headache right here so bad that I was ready to throw up. I slept through it. I had to take some Benadryl to actually get some sleep. And in the morning, it was still there, and I had to go grab one. And an hour later, I started to feel better. My system's like, oh, I know what this is.
Oh, I think I told you. Go and get an energy drink.
I had to. Yeah, I had to. I was dying quick. But, speaking of dying quickly.
Okay.
And speaking of the NFL, Aaron Rodgers has been making some questionable offseason decisions when it comes to multiple things.
Okay, he's a California guy. He's done a great job of trying to fit in Green Bay.
He's done an excellent job.
But he doesn't really fit in Green Bay. He's a California, and I mean this in the nicest way possible. He's a California fruit and nut.
Well, it's a different culture.
It is.
It's a completely different culture. If I've learned anything from traveling as much as I have, is that every state, you might as well be in a different country.
I do respect that he's learned about different cultures. He's tried different things. He's very inquisitive.
He's very smart.
Very
to learn.
Off the chart smart.
But you're right. Expecting, and it's funny hearing people in Wisconsin talk about him because they're like, blah, blah, whatever, it's a very right-wing thought of mind here in Wisconsin, very small town. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean it's a small town.
Small town mentality.
It's you go to church on Sunday, love your family.
Should. Yep.
That's just how.
Live your life, help your neighbor.
Right. You do, as long as what you do doesn't affect me, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to hear about it.
Well, people don't talk about it.
And people don't talk about it. Wisconsin is very much a Irish way of living, which is you hold your feelings in until you die.
Look, I had several uncles that fought in World War II.
Yeah, you don't talk about it.
Never heard one story.
Nope.
They kept it all in. They saw horrors that nobody should see, and they never talked about it. They never went and talked to counselors about it.
No, but they also had places like
bars,
the bars and the legions and the VFWs, where I'm sure they were therapists for each other.
It was, yeah.
You told stories, you laughed about it, and you moved past on it.
Well,
they had support groups. It was just a different way.
Yeah, it was called Miller, Schlitz.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, is his attitude good for the team?
I think he's a perfect quarterback for this team. Now I saw his facial expression after some receivers ran the bad routes. There's a fire burning in there. He can give me all the Zen attitude he wants. He was burning up when guys made mistakes on their routes.
Now, from all the comments I've been seeing, you can't claim to be Zen and then yell at people on the sideline.
Well, he's doing it. I don't think he yells at people on the sidelines. I think he is very passive-aggressive. He makes comments like in his...
Oh, I think he yells at people on the sideline.
I think he yells... I've never seen him yell at the sideline. I've heard he yells in the practices.
I've seen him yell at the sideline. I've seen him rip offensive linemen a new one.
I haven't seen him for a couple of years.
Did you not watch the Vikings game?
He wasn't happy at the Vikings. Speaking of the Vikings game, interesting story. I saw Aaron Andrews was obviously there for the game. She's driving from Chicago to Green Bay, I guess, for the Bears game. Her driver fell asleep as he was driving. She's in there. She said she was just sitting there looking at her phone, and all of a sudden people are honking. And she looked up, and they're going over the side of the road, and she woke him up. Bet you she screamed at him a little bit.
Welcome to Uber.
That's dangerous.
It is dangerous. But anyways, back to the subject.
Sorry.
We were talking about.
I think his attitude is fine, and I think he is enough of a leader, and certainly the leader in the clubhouse. He's going to get these guys to step up. The team looked markedly, and granted it was against the Bears, so it's not too much, but they did look
scheme-wise
better. Elton Jenkins coming back was huge. I mean, that's
why he won that game.
Yes, Elton Jenkins was, and give him credit for coming back. I heard something interesting about Bakhtiari, that they're now worried. You can do all the knee surgery, but if the cartilage is gone, your career is over.
Correct.
So I think if he doesn't come out and play in the next 2 weeks, he may be done.
Why do you keep changing the subject?
I'm not. I'm just saying those are other reasons that they're winning. I mean,
you are squirreling on me hardcore.
I'm not squirreling. Rodgers is great for the team as it is. I think he doesn't get enough credit for working with younger players. I think he should have come in earlier, and I've said that. But once he's there, I think he's all in. I don't know if the Yahweh or whatever drink.
Ayahuasca.
Was that the drink that Lazard poured?
Yeah, ayahuasca. That was hilarious.
Whatever works to get him to pull the team together and come back and win. This is going to be a test not only for Rodgers, but also for LaFleur.
It is. Here's my thought on it.
I didn't ask for it, but go ahead.
Here's my thought on it. You're going to get it no matter what. My thought is honestly exactly what you think. I think he's perfect for this team. I think that I love seeing him fired up on the sideline because that's what I want my quarterback to do. He's trying to better himself and take his life in a different direction off the field. I understand that. Listen, I've had to go through some transformations over the last couple of years that we've talked about. And that's not an easy thing to do because you can't go back to your old life at that point, right? It's like a caterpillar in a chrysalis, right? Once you're there, you're there. It's the next chapter, and you just have to ride it out till you get there.
I did it 10 years before you did.
Right. He's going to that next step, but he's still there ready to play football. So if he needs to do this stuff in the offseason for the betterment of his health and his life, and that's where he wants to be and be zen, dude, that's awesome. Go for it. But if you want to question that on the football field, I mean, that's just it. You have fans saying, well, he's too zen. He's not fired up to be on the football field. And then those same fans, when he's yelling at people on the sideline, well, what happened to his zen attitude? Well, you're just going to hate Aaron Rodgers then. Like, there's nothing anybody can say to you about it. The fact of the matter is that guy every single play is out there looking like he wants to win. He's looking as good as ever.
Green Bay has been, and I think a lot of Green Bay fans have gotten real lazy and they're real complacent because they've had 30 years. 30 years, literally. From
There are Packer fans
to
calling
now.
for Jordan Love to come in.
They're idiots. But we've had 30 years of Hall of Fame quarterback play where games aren't missed. And Rodgers has been hurt a couple of times, but it just doesn't happen.
We don't have losing seasons.
We I think are in the Green Bay is the top 2 or 3 winningest franchises over the last 30 years in all of football. It's criminal.
I mean, we're one game away from tying being the
all-time
winningest franchise.
Criminal that they don't have more Super Bowls in that same time period.
Yes.
But that's more front office decisions than it is play on
Sometimes
the field.
things just happen. I mean, you look at Seattle. That just happened. It was one blown coverage, and
Mike Sherman doesn't just happen. That was a bad move.
Mike Sherman was a bad move.
Bad move. Shame on you. But I think Rodgers is going to pull in, and the Packers are going to be there at the end. They've got to figure a way to get over the hump in the playoffs. That's where Rodgers really has to step up.
So Rodgers has to step up. That's where he's at. That's on him.
Right.
But right now, we just need to get there and to question his attitude if it's good for the team or not. I think it's a silly question. Of course, his attitude is good for the team.
It's what they know.
He's being zen in his off time. But if you're questioning if he's fired up and ready to go on that field, I mean, dude just threw a block.
Yeah.
The other day, you don't do that if you're not there ready to play football.
He can still run. He can still makes throws that are just stupid.
Packer fans are just so used to seeing it. I don't
Correct.
understand what it's like to have a bad quarterback. I don't. I've never had one.
And I lived through the 70s and 80s. I've seen bad quarterback.
I've had Favre and I've had Rodgers.
I had Scott Hunter. I had Lynn Dickey, who actually was a pretty decent quarterback. Then there was guys like Randy Wright. There was some bad quarterback play. And as a Packer fan, the one person I always thought was going to be better, and then he got hurt, and it was exactly like Lou Gehrig replacing, I can't remember his name, but when Mikowski went down, he never saw the field again.
Not once.
Nope, he was done, and he was a good quarterback.
He was. He's still the last Packer to lead the league in passing yards in a single season.
I just wonder what he would have done. I mean, I don't think he would have gotten...
That injury was so bad he was out of football.
Correct. Yeah.
Shortly after that. So
Yeah.
he would have gotten another chance in the NFL had that leg injury not been as bad as it was. But I mean, Favre was the answer either way.
Well, I mean, he was going to be the solution. You don't give up a number 1 draft pick and not have him be the solution.
And bypass the physical.
No, he passed the physical. Ron Wolf had him double secret probation checked, and they said he was all right.
Yep, exactly. But hey, I think we've had a really good show today. You let us know. Man, I can't talk. I tried to end that well. You know how good I was doing on segues? I have failed today. But hey, you let us know what you think in the comments below. Is Rodgers good for the Packers or not? Who is the greatest athlete of all time? And while you're down there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified every time we drop a new episode and you get to enjoy this show as much as we enjoy making it. Any last words before we head out?
Enjoy the fall-like weather in the Midwest that's coming. I'm excited for the President's Cup this weekend. United States versus the world.
I'm excited to see George Washington play golf again.
George Washington play golf.
President's Cup. Why is it called the President's Cup when we're the only one that has a president? Why wouldn't it be called the Prime Minister Cup? There's a lot more of those.
I don't know. I think it was because the president donated the cup. I don't know why. Can't answer the question. It's called the President's Cup.
Should they be wearing powdered wigs?
Let's move on. there's nothing for you. Go get an energy drink. You need one. No,
I
don't do
have-
that. Don't do that.
I can't have any more. Any other last
No,
words before
no,
I
that's
ruin
it.
your last word?
That's it. That's
All
it.
right. Awesome. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it every single time you do. This has been Sports Talk with Dad.
Bye, everybody.